I'm 32, and here's the single piece of advice I wish someone had handed me back in my 20s. Most people have never heard this. It has nothing to do with cutting starch, sugar, or seed oils, and it's not about missing a workout. It's something far less obvious, a deficiency in a nutrient that's officially labeled non-essential. I'll explain why that label is misleading, because in practice, this thing is anything but optional. There's no official daily requirement set for it, but looking at solid research, the real need is around 15 grams a day. Our bodies manufacture roughly 3 grams on their own. From food, the average person takes in somewhere between 1.5 and 2 grams. Do the math, and that leaves a daily shortfall of about 10 grams. The nutrient in question is glycine. It only got the non-essential tag because the body can produce it internally. Any amino acid your body synthesizes automatically gets that classification. But nobody bothered to ask the more important question: how much do we actually need to thrive? Here's the catch. Eating meat, eggs, or fish doesn't supply much glycine at all. The real source is collagen, and that's exactly where modern eating habits fall apart. Generations ago, people ate animals from nose to tail, everything, including the connective tissue, skin, and cartilage. Today, we don't do that. We still eat meat, but it's the lean, tender cuts, which contain almost no collagen, maybe 1 to 3% in a typical steak. Yet collagen makes up roughly 30% of all the protein in our bodies. So where is that 30% supposed to come from if we're barely consuming any? Glycine is about as fundamental as it gets. It's the smallest amino acid, and evolutionarily one of the oldest, tracing back roughly 3.8 billion years. Dr. Alan Jackson, a highly regarded researcher from the University of Southampton, has pointed out that of the 20 amino acids, only 3 truly deserve the non-essential label, and glycine isn't one of them. My estimate is that around 95% of adults are walking around with a chronic glycine shortfall. Here's how your body handles a shortage like this. It triages. It prioritizes whatever nutrient it has toward the functions most critical for keeping you alive right now, and shortchanges everything else. Top of that priority list is red blood cell production. Glycine is essential for building heme, the protein at the core of red blood cells. Without heme, you can't transport oxygen, and that's not survivable, so your body guards this function fiercely. Next in line, DNA and RNA, the genetic blueprints your cells need to replicate themselves. No DNA or RNA, and your body simply stops functioning. Think of it like an aquarium. If the water itself is contaminated, it doesn't matter how good the fish food is, or how many individual problems you treat. Nothing improves until the water quality is fixed. Your body operates on roughly 10 major regulatory signals. Things like insulin, cortisol, inflammation levels, sleep quality, and digestive function. And each one shapes how you feel day to day. But typically, one of these signals is more out of balance than the others. And until that specific one gets addressed, everything else stays stuck in place. I created a free 2-minute quiz that pinpoints exactly which signal is holding you back. It's linked in the description. Take it and stop guessing about what's actually wrong. Moving down the priority list, bile salt production. Glycine is required to manufacture bile salts, which your body uses to digest fats and absorb fat-soluble nutrients, vitamins A, D, E, K1, K2, and omega-3 fatty acids. Bile also helps keep your small intestine free of unwanted bacterial overgrowth. After that comes glutathione, your liver's master antioxidant, responsible for neutralizing toxins. Every cup of coffee, every drink, every bit of processed food exposes you to compounds your body has to detoxify, and glycine is a key building block for the glutathione that does this job. This is where things get murky. Depending on how much glycine you actually have available, your body may or may not have enough left over to fully support glutathione production. This could explain why some people seem to handle toxins fine, while others struggle constantly. It might simply come down to a glycine shortage. Next on the list, GABA, a neurotransmitter that essentially acts as the brake system for your nervous system. It's what allows you to wind down and fall asleep. This might explain why so many people struggle with sleep, feel constantly wired, anxious, or unable to relax. And what about hyperactive children? Often, it traces back to low GABA. which traces back to insufficient glycine. How many kids do you know who eat cartilage, fish skin, chicken skin, or drink bone broth regularly? Probably none. Your immune system depends heavily on glycine too, particularly a type of cell called the macrophage, your body's frontline defense. When a macrophage dies, it releases glycine as a signal to shut down inflammation. But if glycine levels are too low, that off switch for inflammation never gets triggered properly. People end up on anti-inflammatory medications without realizing the root issue might just be a glycine shortage. Then there's skin. Look around. Premature aging is everywhere. Skin sits fairly low on the body's priority list, so if glycine is scarce, skin is one of the first places to suffer. Collagen in the fascia layer declines, leading to loss of body shape and visible sagging. Tendons come next. Without adequate glycine, tendons become far more prone to injury under stress. Then cartilage. People chalk joint degeneration up to simple wear and tear. But is that really the full story? Or is there a deeper nutritional cause behind needing hip replacements and worn-down joints? Then bones. Most of the protein content in bone is collagen. This one is personal for me. In high school, my bones were incredibly fragile. My diet was terrible, pure junk food, and I dealt with constant fractures, injuries, and chronic inflammation. By age 28, I had severe arthritis in my fingers and serious sleep problems. I was getting sick constantly. Looking back, I was massively glycine deficient. I ate zero collagen. No nose-to-tail eating, no organ meats, just plain meat and eggs, nothing else. Arteries are next, and they're composed almost entirely of collagen. Consider how widespread artery-related problems are. High blood pressure, arterial blockages, it's everywhere. Building strong, healthy arteries requires quality glycine. The gut lining also depends on it, which is part of why bone broth and collagen supplementation are so often recommended for healing gut permeability issues. Ligaments, the connective tissue linking bone to bone, are another casualty. I personally struggled with weak ligaments for years, constantly rolling my ankles because there was no underlying stability. And finally, hair and nails round out the list. Both require glycine to stay strong and healthy. Here's the thing though, collagen powder doesn't just help with hair and nails. It supports every single function on this list, from immune health to detoxification to tendon strength. The problem is that most of those improvements happen invisibly. You won't necessarily feel your immune system getting stronger or your gut lining repairing itself, but it's happening. This whole situation is a textbook example of how our modern diet has drifted away from what our bodies evolved to expect. We used to eat nose to tail. Now we don't. We prefer tender cuts of meat and avoid anything chewy or gristly, which happens to be where the collagen lives. Regular meat is actually quite low in glycine, despite being high in other amino acids. The same goes for eggs and fish, both low in glycine. So even someone eating a carnivore diet of mostly steak without incorporating nose-to-tail cuts can still end up deficient. Vegans are commonly deficient. Plenty of kids are deficient. Older adults are deficient too. My recommendation isn't necessarily to take a standalone glycine supplement. Instead, focus on getting more collagen from real food, or add a high-quality collagen powder to your coffee or a shake. Just make sure you're also getting vitamin C, since it's a necessary cofactor. Collagen doesn't get utilized properly without it. I hope this gave you some real insight, but here's the catch. Taking collagen powder alone won't do much if you're missing this other piece, which I break down in detail in the next video. Go check it out.